Hey guys, it's Myiesha here.
Hey there, Jeffrey here again with Sephora Pro.
And we are going to do a really quick video for you guys about how to fix your boo-boos. And by boo-boos, we just mean those little mistakes that happen when you're doing your makeup or you're gone throughout the day, or it's always when I'm having a good time and I look in the mirror, I catch a glance of myself and I was
whoa.
like, oh!
Yeah, what just happened? Yeah. Rule number one, though, before we even get started is to not melt down. Like, it's not end all be all. Don't go into crisis mode. It's okay. We've got some really cool hacks that are going to help you to fix any mishaps that you have throughout the day. So if you're somebody who likes to touch up, or you know that you're going to touch up, this video is definitely for you. So I would stay tuned.
So the first thing, the infamous makeup artist primer trick. If you don't know, makeup artists use eye primer for everything, not even just eyes, for a lot of things.
Yeah,
and Jeffrey wants to show you the trick.
So say, how many times have you been going to apply your eyeliner and your eyeliner starts out really beautiful and then towards the end it maybe turns into a trend like wavy liner and you're like, I don't really know what to do now? or the jet wing just keeps getting bigger and bigger. A number one tip, and I think that's something that a lot of makeup artists love to suggest, is taking a little bit of eye primer. A lot of people don't know, but eye primer will actually roll up and help you to correct any mistakes that you make with liner, even liquid lipsticks, anything that
has pigment to it that tends to be a little stronger. Eyeliners and liquid lips tend to have a really strong pigment.
So you'll see, like, say for instance this whole tail out here where I had too much product, or I got that little wavy line. I can literally take one end of a cotton bud to apply the primer and the second end to literally wipe everything away.
I would say primers, he used the Smashbox 24-hour primer. Any primer for the eyes that doesn't have a lot of color to it, I would say something translucent or just clear
and
works
typically
the best.
Like a silicone base.
Yeah, I really like the Too Faced Shadow Insurance. That's the one I typically always use. The Urban Decay's eyeshadow primers work really well for it too. If I were doing a lip, like earlier I was playing with some red lipsticks, and I don't know what, maybe I just had too much coffee, but I got a little too far out my lip line, and I just used a Q-tip and just wiped it right away, and it helps because it picks up the pigment, and not just, when you wipe something away, you still have that pigment there sometimes, or it stains. So that's definitely a really great trick.
Especially with liquid lips. Like, it's really good for liquid
Keep your
lips.
eyeshadow primer in your touch-up bag. I think it's something that most people don't do, but it's definitely a great thing. Or if you do an eye look, and say, for instance, you're just not feeling the whole eye look, or maybe you are going from day to night where you want to take everything off, if you put this on a
cotton round.
Yeah, a cotton round or a little sponge,
like a little pad.
You can wipe away your entire eye look without kind of creating that hole in your makeup that sometimes like an eye makeup remover can just kind of leave dryness on the skin. It'll just sweep it right away, which is great.
And it's primed and ready to go for you to add more shadow on top of it. So it's like it's doing double duty. Like, it's cleaning up the previous mess and it's giving you something good for your shadow to really hold on to and lock on to afterwards.
I do that a lot for brides if they happen to want a different look for reception.
Oh yeah,
I'll go ahead.
That's legit.
Yeah, a lot of my friends, I'm like, just stop using me. Stop making me work at your weddings. I'll go ahead and just wipe off their shadow and put something really sheer on if I'm going to do a darker lip or something. So it's really great to have in your kit.
Love that.
Or in your makeup bag. So which one do we want to go over next?
I think next let's talk a little bit about complexion, and I think just overall. I think one of the big overarching themes of correcting makeup mishaps is really reintroducing hydration to whatever you're working with. So like right now, especially in the industry, we're seeing a lot of like super long wearing and durable products. Like they have like 8-hour, 12-hour, 24-hour claims.
Who's staying awake for 24 hours? Because I can barely stay awake for 4 hours before
Let alone to just test the foundation. But anyway, that's a good point. But anyway, it's like those products are designed to last. So if you make a mistake with those products, they're locked in place.
Because a lot of products have a technology where the moisture evaporates, and that's how they lock down. So once that moisture evaporates, you have to, like Jeffrey said, reintroduce moisture to it.
To wake the product back up.
I wear a lot of long wear foundations because I'm super, super oily. And before, if say, for instance, my contour is not blended correctly, or I've had a hole in my makeup, which usually doesn't happen because I usually take my time in the morning, I have to spray my face with a little toner. This is the Urban Decay Quick Fix priming setting spray.
It's even called Quick Fix.
It has a long name because it does everything basically.
Yeah.
And it's also like really nice to start your makeup with too. I feel like most people don't do that. Jeffrey came to my house the other day and I had toners everywhere.
No, she had toners on the dining room table.
It was hot. It was Caudalie Beauty Elixir on the dining room table because I literally all day long spray my face with toner because it just, one, gives you moisture when you don't have makeup on, and two, it reblooms your makeup. That was a term that one of my instructors used to use a long time ago. Reblooms your makeup. And it just adds hydration to those little areas that have powder and have dried down, so that you can go ahead and blend. Really great for under the eye. If you don't want to pat an eye cream on, spray your entire face, and instead of doing a lot of blending, pat, and it'll blend your makeup again.
And you can even add more product on top if you need to build coverage. I think it just makes everything malleable again, right? So you can kind of move in and play with it. It's not locked in place anymore.
So I would say there's two different, or not two different.
There's a couple ways to go about
different
it.
Methods. So I'm super oily, so I would do a spray. I feel like this works best for me.
It's also probably the most universal.
Yeah.
Like I feel like this is the easiest thing to do. So if you're like more of a novice, grab a spray to do it
grab
with.
a spray, and I would do patting motions, like I said, as opposed to rubbing, because patting, you're just kind of blending what's already there. You're not wiping anything away. If you are really dry and you find that there are cracks in your makeup,
Like around here, I see it a lot.
Yeah, and the reason why there are cracks in makeups, or like sometimes holes in your makeup, is because it tends to happen in the areas where you dehydrate it, and what your skin does is suck all the moisture out of your product, and then it just leaves this pigment, and the pigment just
falls off.
Falls off your face.
Falls off the face.
So what you can do is take a little bit of moisturizer, and I'll just use my fingers because they're clean. Just a tiny bit, and put them on the tips of your fingers, and just rub it in until you can't see any product, where it's just saturated, and just press it along your face. And this is sort of a supercharged version of putting a toner on, and then you can go back in and add more makeup. Or if you want to put on a foundation and maybe your sunscreen was a little drier from earlier, it's a really good way to fix some boo-boos.
And then oils too. You can use oils in the same way. This is Josie Marin. This is the Pure Argan Oil Light. It's a little bit lighter than a traditional argan oil texture, so it dissipates into the skin really quickly. So that's another thing that you want to look for.
Almost like a dry oil for hair, which we'll talk about in a little bit
later. Yeah, dry oils are a really great option because they kind of evaporate off the skin really quickly, like what we talked about. So like you're gonna reawaken the product, but it's not going to be so wet that it looks like you did something. Does that make sense?
And for all of the things we're talking about, less is more, especially if you're using a Q-tip, and you can dip it in oil to do the same thing Jeffrey did with the primer too. You want to dip it in and almost wipe it off so there's nothing there in a way. Because if it's dripping, you're kind of like added another boo-boo on top of fixing your boo-boo, and that's not good. So less is more.
Okay, cool. And then concealer. That's another spot where it tends to get really dehydrated and kind of dry. You mentioned the under eye before. But what I love to do to kind of reawaken concealer is to go in with like a lighter weight serum texture concealer. This is from YSL. This is the Touche Claw Light Pen. This is another iconic product that's been, a bestseller at Sephora for years and years. But it's basically like a little click flow through brush. Let me grab this one. And you can sort of brush it under the eye, and since it's a really lightweight serum texture, it's not going to add any extra coverage per se. It's just going to kind of smooth out the coverage that's already there, and that fluidity is going to wake up that concealer again.
Because you have to think about too, and this is just for all makeup, whenever you're applying a concealer, or you're like, I just want to brighten the area, do you really need coverage there, or do you just need brightness? So you don't necessarily want to go touch up with something super heavy. You want something kind of lightweight. Or when you're highlighting, I see a lot of times people highlight and contour with something so heavy after they put on a full coverage foundation. I'm like, you just need brightness. You don't need coverage. So this is a really great option for that.
Yeah, it's like you're correcting the face with light.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things to do with this is when you're using it, the brush, you can manipulate the shape a little bit. You can twist it if you want it to be a little rounder, or you can just do like this if you want a really sharp square edge, so you can like get in there with your cat eye. So you can manipulate this brush really easily to do whatever you want, if you want to dot on a little spot or something, which I think is really cool. So even when you're doing a liquid lip, like I was playing with my new NARS liquid lips today, and I think I just got a little happy because I really like the color, and I noticed my lip line was a little too far out.
She said I'm going to wear the color over my whole face. Not just my lips.
Don't try me. I'm gonna do it. It'll be cute too. So you can take a little bit of primer too, like eye primer I think works best, with a cotton swab, and just kind of clean that little area up. And when you're cleaning up, if you went too far out, it's best to clean up going in the direction that you want to correct, versus if you do this and you drag it out, you probably just drag out a red line this way. So anytime you're correcting, always correct in the right direction, so you're making it smaller.
Yeah, I think we've talked about fixing things before in the past, but I think one of the most important things things is to just like don't freak out and think about what you're doing first. Before.
I tell you that a lot.
Yeah, you do. But like slow down and
Yeah.
think about it, because a lot of times when you get frustrated and flustered,
Then you
mistakes
start sweating and you get nervous,
it gets
and it makes
worse.
it worse.
It gets worse. So you just have to kind of like take a beat. I got this. I'm not gonna let the product defeat me, right? Cool. Myiesha, I know that another common concern and like a lot of people run into when they're out and about, like on a date or with friends, is lashes. Like when they've applied false lashes and like
I don't know anything about lashes.
Exactly. So what are your tips? What are your tips to help like that pesky pop up in the inner corner?
So there's a couple things. When I put my lashes on, I purposely move them a couple millimeters away from my inner corner, so they're not close to the area where I would
Do you
tear
feel like
up.
you trim a little bit more on the other
Yeah,
end?
I trim a little,
Okay.
even though I have kind of larger eyes, I trim a little bit, so they're a little further away.
Okay.
I always keep a little mini glue, like when I refresh my glue. I really like the House of Lashes glue because it's sticky, but it's not too sticky, so I can wear it every day. I always keep a little mini one, and I like the brush-on ones. I definitely prefer them.
Brush-ons are the
because
best.
they have a little point to them. So I can just dot where I want. Give it a few seconds to dry. Don't dot and immediately hold the lash because it's not tacky yet, and just kind of hold it. Or if I'm literally in a pinch and I don't have anything, I just squeeze my lashes together, like you were saying, like Velcro. And even if the edge is falling off, the lashes are on there.
Yeah, your lashes
and
kind of
they're
stick
good.
through the false
Yeah.
lash, and they kind of stick together.
And
like
I do
a
that when I
Lego or
put them
something.
on. I stick them together so they're like stuck together like Velcro, especially if I wear a really creamy mascara like Mr. Big from Lancome, and they're good to go. They're not going to come off.
And now even the brands are getting on board with the whole brush on, but they're making it in like black too. So if like you're a wing liner and lash girl and that's all you really do, like the black might be a good option because it'll match your eyeliner. Do you know what I mean? Which is cool. You can also like fix that hole there too. Okay, and then outside of that, yeah, so we've talked about like skin, we've talked about face. Let's talk a little bit about like hair and body and like how, because a lot of times like I think people forget about hair. Hair is an extension of the look. Like it needs to, you have touch-ups with that throughout the day as well.
In LA, we just throw our hair in a bun and we have really beat faces.
Call it a day. Brush its brows, not the hair.
Yes.
So this is from IGK. It's called Speechless, and this is actually a hair and body dry oil finishing spray. So we talked about dry oils a little bit earlier, but the cool thing about dry oils is that they give an instant hydration and kind of give a beautiful sheen.
No heaviness.
But no heaviness. So like, yeah, you're not going to be left behind with a lot of product that you have to manipulate. This one is really good for kind of taming frizz. So like if you're out, say for instance, you're rolling down the PCH and you put the top down and your hair's all jacked up, you can put a little bit of this. You can just spray it through and brush it with your hands.
You're telling me about a really good day.
Yeah, she's like, dang it.
Until you said my hair was jacked up, I was having a good day.
Boo Boo's in the car with a scarf blowing in the wind. I love it. But no, this will help to kind of tame those flyaways, like just basically like bring your hair back to square one.
I like dry oil too because a lot of times it's so hot in LA. I try to keep oils and moisturizer in my car, and they just kind of explode, and it just doesn't work well. So I forget which one I had before. I think it was Alterna, but now I'm gonna go to this one, and I would spray my body before I got out the car.
Yeah.
Even like your feet, because ashy feet aren't
Is
a good
not
look.
cute.
That's a boo boo you can
Yes,
fix. Or even I was
exactly.
asking Jeffrey if I should put highlighter on my shoulders because of the straps.
Yeah,
like,
because it's gorgeous,
get in
right?
there, but like
Yeah,
it's a
totally.
really good thing too because you don't always need a body moisturizer.
Right, and that's another thing with fixing boo-boos and things like that is you want to look for products that are multifunctional that can do multiple things. So that way when you're putting your makeup bag together with all of your touch-up products, it's minimal. You're not carrying a lot of product, and you have everything you need to correct things.
Cuticles.
Yes, cuticles too. Dang, girl, she's just gonna bathe in it. Yes, she's speechless.
Basically.
So another product that I think gets forgotten a lot that lives in Beauty on the Fly is actually from a brand that we have called Pinch Provisions, and it's a little like baby tote bag with everything you need for mishaps and meltdowns
They're
throughout the day.
so helpful. I have like 3 of them just
Yeah.
because I like to keep them in different areas. They're really great bridal shower gifts because they have everything in them. They have feminine hygiene products. They have hairspray, nail
Bandages.
polish, medication if you get a little headache or something.
Yeah, needle and thread.
Yeah, and that's a great way on the go because obviously you never know what's going to happen. And I'm like the queen of stuff going wrong with little things like that. So those are really great to have also. And you can refill them as realize you use something if you go through whatever. They're just nice to have.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I would really love to hear your tips on fixing little boo-boos, because I always like to add to my list of things that I can fix on the go.
So if you have something that we didn't necessarily call out in this video, be sure to shout them out in the comment section below.
Yeah, I know there's plenty. So as always, subscribe to our channel, because like, why not?
Yeah, and thank you for hanging out with us, for sure. We hope to see you again on this channel, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right,
bye.